YouTube all ready to go, and we do. We only have a couple of days left, guys, before we have our protect, learn and protect your energy masterclass. This is a totally free class for those of you that struggle with making sure that you don't have your energy bleed off onto other people, or you don't pick up on the negativity of other people. It's also the perfect class for you if you find that in your life there are a lot of people that take a lot of energy from you and leave you depleted and burned out and all of the things. Or if you just need to learn how to assert proper boundaries so that these things don't happen in your relationship or your interactions with other people, then this is a good class for you. Totally free. If you want to sign up for the class, it's on the 26th at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So right after I do this live, I will hop into starting that Learn to Protect Your Energy Masterclass. And if you want to register for the free class, you just need to text the word mastery to 833-231-4407. Again, text the word mastery to 833-231-4407. A couple of other announcements, because we've been having a lot of new people join in on our discussion. So if you happen to be on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, which is here in this, I'm looking here, I cannot see who you are unless you comment. So I would love it if you would interact, comment, let me know if you have any questions or need me to clarify anything that we're going over, because we're doing a book study on the power of now. It's a very deep book, but it is a guide to spiritual enlightenment. And so this topic can be a little bit heavy. And so I want to make sure that I explain it the best that I can so that you can use the information and the tools that he's given us in this book. And if you see me looking over here, for those of you that are new, then we have Instagram over here. So you'll see me kind of looking back and forth to make sure that I'm paying attention to everybody. But we will go ahead and get started. Every day, 7 p.m., Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Central Time, I do this live stream. So we are on chapter 4 in the book. And if you have this specific book, then I am on page 82. And we're going to be talking about how you can learn to take action to start to move out of some more difficult energy circumstances or whatever that you may be going through. But what we're going to start off talking about is giving you some examples of ordinary unconsciousness. And for those of you that weren't in our discussion yesterday or don't remember what we talked about, ordinary unconsciousness is this habitual resistance to or denial of what is. So you're denying what is, or you're resisting what is, and it creates this unease and this discontent in your life. And this unease and this discontent in your life starts to become, or you start to mistake this for your norm, or mistake this as what will always be in your life. And I'm finding that there are people struggling with this. So hopefully this will be helpful for you if you tend to be someone that thinks that the past is indicative of your future, or even what you see currently in your circumstances as being what is indicative of what's possible for you in the future, because it's totally not. And once you can learn to break free spiritually and also do the other things that we talked about in the previous weeks leading up to this chapter 4, then you're going to find that you are going to be more easily able to disconnect from some of the painful things that are holding you back from achieving happiness and living in purpose and meaning in your life. So here are some more examples of ordinary unconsciousness, this unease and discontentment that you or maybe sometimes me live with, and we think that it's normal. So see if you can catch yourself complaining in either speech or thought about a situation that you find yourself in. What other people do or say, your surroundings, your life situation, or even the weather. So catch yourself if you're complaining. Even if you don't say it out loud, that doesn't mean that you're not complaining. You also need to be more regulatory of the things that you're thinking, because that sets the catalyst, and that's the catalyst and sets the stage for a lot of other things in your life, right? So to complain is always non-acceptance of what is. Complaining invariably carries an unconscious negative charge. When you complain, you make yourself into a victim. When you speak out, you are empowered. So change the situation by either taking action or by speaking out if necessary or possible. Leave the situation or accept it. All else is madness. So we kind of talked about this a little bit yesterday, how if you are in a circumstance or a situation that you find undesirable and you've decided that maybe you have two choices, right? One is you accept it because you stay in the situation, and either you tried to change it and you didn't leave, but no matter what, you stay in the situation. So by inherently staying connected to a situation or a relationship, you are in a state of accepting what is. However, if you continue to catch yourself complaining or thinking negative thoughts about this, then you have to recognize that you are still putting judgment around it rather than accepting that you have accepted it by continuing to participate in the situation. On the other side of the token, the other choice that you have is to take action. And if you are starting to take action on something, then what's the point of complaining about it? Just continue to pour that energy into the action that you're taking, hoping that it will create some change or some energy shifts. And usually it will. And he's going to talk about that more today, for you to be able to shift the energy of that situation. Ordinary unconsciousness is always linked in some way with denial of the now. The now, of course, also implies the here. So are you resisting the here and now? Some people would always rather be somewhere else. Their here is never good enough. Through self-observation, find out if that is the case in your own life. Wherever you are, be there totally. If you find your here and now is intolerable and it makes you unhappy, then you have three options. People ain't going to want to hear these three options, right? But it's the truth, The three options that we have if we find ourselves in intolerable or unhappy situations are to remove ourselves from the situation, change it, or accept it totally. If you want to take responsibility for your life, you must choose one of those three options, and you must choose it right now. Then accept the consequences of whichever of those three things that you've chosen. There's no excuses, no negativity, no psychic pollution. You need to learn how to keep your inner space clear. If you do take any action, for instance, say you leave or you change your situation, you need to make sure that you drop the negativity first, if at all possible, because action arising out of insight into what is required is more effective than action that is arising out of negativity. Hey, Salah. I can't see the first word. I think it starts with an M. I have the lights off because it's hot here. So let me say that again. Action arising out of insight into what is required is more effective than action arising out of negativity. And oftentimes, as we are taking action to remove ourselves from a situation or circumstance or relationship, we want to act out against negativity. Or even as a collective, oftentimes when we rise up together, we're rising up to fight against something that's negative. I'm not saying that that's always good or bad. It's just a little bit more effective if we can all rise up into what is required in order to move something forward. And in your personal life, because remember, we talked about your personal responsibility of becoming a better person. If we all took that to heart, then the world would not be polluted with our negative psychic energy. And so if we all took that to heart, then we all should take the responsibility, if we are going to act, if that's the choice that we're going to make, to then rise into action that is going to be required versus rising out of negativity. Thanks for the live. Thanks. Hey, K Gill. Hey, I am Delta. All right. So here we go with some more action steps to help you to fix your life if you feel stuck. Any action is often better than no action, especially if you've been stuck in an unhappy situation for a long time. If it is a mistake, so if you take an action and you think that you made a mistake, at least you learned something, in which case it's no longer a mistake, right? Because if you're in a situation, a circumstance, or a relationship and you choose to take action on it and it doesn't work and you learned something, then it's no longer a mistake, it's a learning opportunity, right? If you remain stuck, so if you choose to remain stuck, then you learn nothing. So, what does that kind of tell you? That sometimes when we choose to stay in a situation or circumstance that doesn't align with that which we want for ourselves, that in fact is truly the mistake, right? Um, so, is fear preventing you from taking action? Acknowledge the fear, watch it, take your attention into it, and be fully present with it. Doing so cuts the link between fear and your thinking. Fear is an emotion, it is separate from your thinking, but because a lot of you have been taught that you are your thoughts and your feelings, and we talked about this way when we first started this book study, then you're going to think that you are the person, you are your thoughts, you are your emotions, and you're not. So you have to really learn how to be self-aware in moments, especially when you're experiencing something that is less than desirable. Don't let the fear rise up in your mind. Use the power of the now, and the fear cannot prevail against it. If there's truly nothing that you can do to change your here and now, and you cannot remove yourself from the situation, then accept your here and now totally by dropping all inner resistance. That is going to be hard for a lot of you probably to understand, but you have to really think of it more objectively and less emotionally. If you're in, let's say, a relationship, and in this relationship you feel, doesn't mean that it's true, because 9 times out of 10 it's not true, we just don't want to make what we don't want to make tough decisions. But let's just say you're in a circumstance, a relationship, and you can't get out of it, and there's nothing you could do to change it. Accept it, surrender to it. What is fighting about it going to do? What is feeling bad about it going to do? You already know what it is, and it's not going to change in that particular moment. So you're giving it more energy, more mental thought, more pain, more emotion, identifying with it. When in fact, the sooner that you just say, this is what it is, and you stop struggling against it, it helps release some of the pain and the burden and the thoughts that you're going through in these situations and circumstances that make you unhappy, that you don't like, or whatever it is. The false and unhappy self that loves feeling miserable or resentful or sorry for itself can then no longer survive. And he just said what I said. This is called surrender. Surrender is not weakness. There's great strength in it. And only a surrendered person has spiritual power. Through surrender, you will be free internally of the situation. You may then find that the situation changes without any effort on your part. In any case, you're free. Meaning that if there's no way you can remove yourself, there's no way that you can change the situation, and you have to remain in this situation, and so you surrender finally. Surrendering to me, surrendering to him, means you give it no more of your time and energy in that moment. And when you do that, and when you free yourself internally, even though you may have to participate in this situation, it doesn't mean that it has to take any more of your time or your effort or your energy. And so you are therefore free. And when you do that, when you're not playing the game, when you're not participating in the mess, a lot of times the energy that helps create the mess, the pain body, all this stuff that we talked about, is energy that likes to feed on further negativity, further whatever. And what that does is that creates resistance in situations and relationships in your life. And when you start to create this energy of resistance because you may be either trying to force something or trying not to accept something that the way that it appears in front of you, then that resistance in fact creates more resistance. And you actually get into a cycle where if you are trying to fight something or change something, and it's not going your way and you're not willing to remove yourself, and then you actually start to get depleted, less powerful, drained, suffering, all of the things. And so that's another way for you to understand that sometimes, whether we want to admit it or not, we do create a lot of the suffering, not only by the way that we let our mind and our feelings run our life, but also by the way that we continue to participate in either a physical back and forth or an energetic back and forth around something that is not going to change. And so we therefore need to surrender to it and stop giving it our energy. He also says, or is there something that you should be doing, but you're not doing it? That is a lot of people. This is a lot of people. Even in like my private coaching, there's a module where I talk about how a lot of us, we say we don't know what to do. We don't know what to do. But for some of the problems that we're going through, we do know what to do. We do know that we maybe need to be a little bit more organized, right? We do know that we need to eat right and take care of ourselves. We do know that we need to honor that feeling when we know that the relationships that we're in are for not for our highest and best good. Or even on a positive note, we do know when we're being called in our lives to grow and expand, but yet we choose to stay in a comfort zone because we let that fear take over our mind and take over our emotions. However, even though we know what we need to do, because we're not brave enough to do it, or because we have stepped out of our being and let all of this false thoughts and all these other things control us, we pretend like we're stuck. We pretend like we don't know what to do. And that creates this continuous, perpetual circle, spiral, hamster wheel where we feel like we're having the same thoughts over and over again, or we feel like we're going through the same actions or trying to change the same things or going through the same cycle over and over again, not willing to admit that really we know what we should be doing. And he's saying, get up and do it now. Alternatively, completely accept your inactivity. So this is the other thing, right? So you say you don't know what to do. And I already explained how most of the time, most people do know what they need to do. They may not know everything that they need to do, but we all know that there are certain things that we could do to shift out of a certain energy. And if we're not going to get up and act, he said, then completely accept your inactivity, laziness, or passivity at this moment, if that is your choice, and go into it fully, right? And enjoy it and be as lazy or as inactive as you can. If you can go into it fully and consciously, you will soon come out of it. So that's true too. I'll tell you a story about how I deal with periods where I feel like I'm going high and then going low. I don't have many periods like that now because I know that if I am starting to feel like my emotions or my thoughts are dipping into a space of negativity, then I'm able to quickly course correct because I've been practicing this for a long time. And I can pinpoint exactly what has caused me to then start to go downward. But what I usually do is if I'm feeling like I'm going there, I just go there. If I have to stop, if I want to be lazy and just watch Netflix all day or Lifetime movies or things like that, I just let it happen. And what I find is because my soul and my being is put on this earth to expand and to grow and to want to be better, is that when I'm starting to sit around and watch the Netflix or do all of the things and eat all the bad food, it doesn't last that long. Like you kind of said, you soon come out of it. especially if you're somebody that also is feeling called in your heart to expand and to grow and to want and do more in your life. For some of you, maybe you won't, because it's not just that you'll just go down and you'll dip, but then you'll start to tell yourself more lies, like maybe you're worthless and you'll never be happy, and you'll never have the relationships that you want, or the finances that you want, or the experiences that you want. So for a lot of you, because you then start to identify with thoughts and emotions, you let it spiral you. But he's saying accept the downward. And as soon as you accept the downward, you're going to start to feel something trying to wake you up out of it. And I bet even if you're a person that continues to let yourself spiral very negatively downward, I bet even while you're doing that, there's still this strong push inside of you that's like, okay, enough already. Okay, enough already. You've had enough already. All right, let's move on. And again, it's up to you, because you know what you should be doing. It's just a matter of if you actually are going to do it. But either way, you accept the choices that you make. And if you're going to not do what it is that you should be doing, then accept it. And there should be no guilt. There should be no pain. There should be no wallowing. There should be no victimhood, because that is the choice that you made when you decided to choose inaction, inactivity, laziness, whatever it be, instead of doing what it is that you needed to do to continue to move forward. Hey, Rob Brett. All right. So then he says, are you stressed? Are you so busy getting into the future that the present is reduced to a means of getting there? Stress is caused by being here, but wanting to be there, or being in the present, but wanting to be in the future. And it's a split that tears you apart inside. To create and live with such an inner split is insane. The fact that everyone else is doing it doesn't make it any less insane. If you have to, you can move fast, you can work fast, or even run without projecting yourself into the future and without resisting the present. As you move, work, run, do it totally. Enjoy the flow of energy, the high energy of that moment. Now you are no longer stressed, no longer splitting yourself in two. You're just moving, running, working, and enjoying it. Or you could just drop the whole thing and sit on a park bench. But when you do it, watch your mind. It may say that you should be working, or you might be saying, or it might say that you're wasting your time. Observe the mind and smile at it. Does this make sense to you? Let's see how I could explain this a little bit more easily. Sometimes if we're in a period of a lot of activity, what he's trying to say, I believe, is that, again, you need to accept that sometimes in life there are going to be times where things move really fast, and that there are going to be times where things move really slowly. And even in those moments, we don't have to lose our connection to our inner being and our powerful selves while we're doing that. And oftentimes there are people that when this energy starts to speed up, then they wish that they were out of it. Or they may think about all of the future and speed up mentally into the future when they need to be more present in the moment. And so if you are going to participate in life, and if it does feel stressful, and if it is in fact moving fast, and if you accept that this moment is a period where I'm moving fast, again, there is no struggle, there is no strife, there is no pain, because as you accept it and try not to resist it, you actually start to, it's almost like you are moving in the direction of the flow of the river versus trying to fight against the current of the energy of the life of your life. So the more that you can learn to move in the flow with the ebbs and flow of your life and accept those things, the less that you're going to find pain and struggling. But he's also saying that you at any time, you also have the choice to not participate in that type of a pace in life, and that's okay too. But if you do decide that you need to sit down, you need to rest, and you don't want to participate in that, then don't let your mind come in and creep in and tell you that you should be working or wasting your time when you've decided to do something else. Because if you made that choice from a place of your being, which is different than using your mind or your emotions to make a decision, then that may be what is best for you. Does the past take up a great deal of your attention? So much easier to flow with the current sometimes, said K Gill. Yeah, totally. Always easier to flow with the current sometimes. Once we make the decision, right? The hard part is making a decision to do it if it goes against what we want to happen or what people are demanding of us. Does the past take up a great deal of your attention? Do you frequently talk and think about it, either positively or negatively? The great things you've achieved, your adventures, your experiences, or your victim story, and the dreadful things that were done to you, or maybe what you did to someone else, are your thought processes creating guilt, pride, resentment, anger, regret, or self pity? If they are, then you are not only reinforcing a false sense of self, but you're also helping to accelerate your body's aging process by creating an accumulation of past in your psyche. Verify this for yourself by observing those around you that have a strong tendency to hold on to the past. I've never, looked at the people around me and correlated if the way that they looked was due to them bringing the past along with them. But I have correlated, we've all seen it, people that energetically seem to experience life, or I'm not going to say experience. Their lives seem to be a little bit more stressful or chaotic or resistant or undesirable, and they do look a little more aged and a little bit more tired than other people. So he's just saying that by bringing that stuff into your present and then making that stuff real when it's a memory, when it's the past, whether it's good or bad, is again not you living in your real moments in life, and that robs you of the only thing that is real, while at the same time aging you. Die to the past every moment. You don't need it. Only refer to it when it is absolutely relevant to the present. Feel the power of this moment and the fullness of the being, and feel your presence. I want to say something really quickly, and I want to end on this note because I work with clients that sometimes struggle with this. And so if you struggle with this, I want to talk to you a little bit about this. Die to the past every moment. You don't need it. Only refer to it when absolutely relevant to the present. Most of the time, I don't care if you think that it's relevant to the present, it is not. And it is hard for a lot of people to understand that if, like he said, you've had dreadful experiences happen to you, or maybe you've done things that have been dreadful, it can be hard for you to understand why it is not relevant to the present. It's not always necessary for you to take a memory and bring it into this moment. I don't care how much you identify with it. I don't care how painful that it was. Because on a simplistic level, let's just say as human beings, we were all put on this earth to grow, to move forward, to expand. You could have a different life than I have. You could have a different life than I have. But the way that we grow, the way that we evolve, the things that we need to do to be better people is not, and I'm talking about the essence of it, not the actual skills, the essence of that, the mindset that it takes to be that type of person doesn't change, whether it's you or me or her or him or whoever. So I hope that you understand that a lot of the importance that you may tend to put on things that continue to make you have pain and suffering do not always need to be a part of your story. Again, it doesn't mean that it didn't happen. It's not discounting it. It's not spiritual bypassing or anything like that. But if you are someone that's focusing on moving forward, it's not always important to bring that past with you. Robert said, grow, evolve, ascend. How do you guys feel about that? I would love to know, because that's something that people don't understand. And they don't understand, too, that it doesn't matter what happened to you in the past. It doesn't even matter what's happening to you currently. That can still, depending on the energy that you emit from your inner light, that still doesn't have anything to do with the power and the beauty and the things that you could experience in the next moment or the next moment or the next moment if you learn to just live from your being and not your memories and not your thoughts and not your feelings. How do you guys feel about that? Is that hard to hear? Do you understand it? Do you struggle with it? Let me know. We'll end on that, but I do want to see how you guys feel about that because like I could be talking to a client and I can say it doesn't matter. Or they can say, well, this happened to me, this is what it was. It doesn't matter. Or I can start working with clients and they don't understand why. Sometimes, a lot of the times, I don't focus on what happened to them before or healing because I often think that sometimes as a race we're addicted to going into the past, understanding the past, deconstructing it, wanting it to make sense, blah 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 blah. That I'm not saying that there's not a time and a place for that because we do learn some very valuable lessons. But once you uncover it and you know the lesson or you replay whatever it is, tell me what the point is of continuing to make that who you are right now. And a lot of the times, the only thing that people can tell me when they're holding on to that is that it's a part of their identity. And it's not a part of your identity if you understand that there is a being that is not your body, that is not your thoughts, that is not your feelings, that is something much more centered and something much more powerful. And if you can live from that space, then you will see that a lot of the things that you're identifying with, they don't matter. They happened, they were powerful, they were impactful, they've shaped you, but they don't matter moving forward. That's hard to hear. Issa said, understood, very well spoken. It triggers. People get mad at me in that part of coaching. So they come for me for that. And then Robert said, whatever that has passed, it has a seed, big or small, to teach us something. Yeah. And I wouldn't even say a seed because then people think that it's something planted, right? And you think that it's something planted in you and it's a part of you. I would almost say, kind of like we said yesterday, there are many things that happen to us in order to shape who we are moving forward. And a lot of the things that we have to go through, for better or for worse, we can choose to use those things to make us into a better person. And once they happen in their memories, it's almost like taking a picture and putting it in a photo album, putting a photo album on the shelf. It doesn't, it's almost like you take that and you put it there. So yes, it happened. If you need to reference it to understand something, oh, like what did I look like back then? Fine. But the problem is we make that photo a still, we like freeze frame our life in that moment. And when we freeze frame that moment, that's the moment that we live over and over again. And then we wonder why we continue to suffer and we continue to have pain, or we can't shift into that beautiful person that we know in our heart that we were meant to be on this earth. And it's usually because there's this underlying connection energetically to these parts of what we have made our real self when they are in fact false senses of self. Your true self is that being that I taught you to get in touch with at the beginning when we first started reading this book. So if a lot of you, I see a lot of new faces, and if you want to know what it feels like or understand who you truly are, I would go back to, especially on YouTube, I have the whole playlist of everything that we've been going over. And so for those of you that are new, you may want to start at the beginning so that you can understand who you really are. Heru said, finally catching you live. Yeah, we're about to end though. And then Robert said she receives everything that I said. Kay Gill said, I had to learn to get quiet to get in touch. with that elemental part of me hard. I mean, it was hard. Yeah, it really is hard because we've been taught to, that all of our memories are who we are, and they're not. Who we are powerful beings of light that happen to be in a body, and we have tools that was given to us that we can use for a better life, which is our mind and our emotions in order to help us create the life that we want. But until we understand that fully, there's going to be no tarot cards, no crystals, no astrology, even no religion that's going to help you to access that part of you if you don't understand who you truly are. And to truly live a life that is spiritual, and also to then create a heaven for yourself here on earth, which is part of the reason why you are here, is to experience heaven on earth, then you're going to have to reconnect with who it is that you truly are by doing that inner work. So, for those of you that don't know, you're going to start to hear a shift because a lot of the women that I work with are leaders or executives, and a lot of healthcare leaders are wanting to, they keep coming to me for help. So you're going to hear my message talk to them because I'm a healthcare executive as well. So I just kind of speak their language. That's not to alienate any of you that have come on this journey, because the message is for all. But you're going to start to hear me talk about that because I think that they need this work, and you need it as well. So if you are struggling with this, if you are struggling with trying to create your heaven on earth, and if you're struggling with trying to cut the ties with how you identify with who it is that your true self is and step into your true power, because you don't know how to use your mind properly and you don't know how to use your emotions properly. And so what you are experiencing is this perpetual state of either start and stop, or this negativity, then just know that I have a couple of slots left for private coaching. And if that's something that you are interested in because you want help with this, then just reach out to me. If you are on like YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, the information will be in the description box. Or you can also go over to Instagram. Instagram, you are welcome to go to the link in my bio. It's a link just so you can learn more about what it's like to get coaching with me to help. My method is a little bit different. So the way that I help you is through intellectual and intuitive means, and how that can change your life. And if that's something that you feel like you want help with, then you can apply for a coaching spot and we can talk about it if it's the right fit for you. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Do not forget, if you have not signed up for the Learn to Protect Your Energy Masterclass for Thursday, to do that as well. And thank you for the rich discussion and the participation. And I will talk to you all tomorrow. All right. Bye.